G'day, I'm Pete and I'm the Aussie Bush Cop. I'm going to be sharing with you some stories about my time in the New South Wales Police Force. I had a tumultuous time as a police officer up there, and because of that I decided to retire and move to this beautiful island in the middle of Bass Strait called King Island, where I became a homesteader. I had chickens and ducks and highland cattle and a whole bunch of stuff going on where this is my cure for being in the New South Wales Police Force, and look forward to sharing my stories with you. G'day, how you going? Thanks for joining us again today. And the story that I'll share with you happened in one of the country towns where I was a policeman. I was contacted probably by email by food authority inspectors, and they wanted to go to a location in my area where a man was conducting an illegal abattoir. This fellow used to supply meat to different locations, and he was doing that illegally because he didn't have the required permission and permits and everything that goes with it. So, but all they wanted me there for was to keep the peace, because one of the roles of police is to keep the peace. When you get sworn in on the parade ground, one of the promises you make to the Queen is to keep her peace. It's an interesting concept, and that was my role on that day, although it morphed into something a little bit different. So I met these two inspectors, and we went to the location. And I was a little bit ambivalent about being there. I'm thinking, well, you know, I don't really want to be here. But when I went there, I was so glad that I was there because it wasn't very nice. And I'm thinking, this fellow is producing meat in certainly unsatisfactory conditions, you might say. And so I was there, and his attitude was rather pugnacious towards these officers, and he wasn't cooperative. He had no choice. It was a bit different to how we conduct business, meaning the police. We would execute a search warrant, and interestingly enough, these fellows didn't have a search warrant, and they could just go in without his permission and be there as long as they needed to be there to check out his what I might call it, his shed, his illegal abattoir. And whilst they were about their business, my eye was roaming around and I saw a number of signs that he clearly didn't have permission to have, ones that he had most likely stolen. At the end of their examination, and they videotaped the whole thing, videotape it and audio record it, that they can use for evidence if he pled not guilty to the offence that they would level at him. And that would be an offence that would be heard at a local court. So I then, at the conclusion of their examination, I then sort of stepped forward and said, now I'm here as it was quite clearly I was a policeman. I said, I want to speak to you about these signs that you have. And now in New South Wales there's an offence called to illegally have signs that you don't, or anything that you don't have permission to have. And it's one of the very few offences where the onus is on the accused to prove that they had them lawfully. And the offence can carry, it also includes things just unlawfully obtained. It's called goods in custody. And so I had these signs, and he didn't have a lawful reason to have them. He said he found some of them, he got one at a tip. I don't remember now where he said he got them from, but one of them was a sign, a give way sign. Another one was about Commonwealth property. It was a large sign saying, prohibiting people to enter this particular premises because it was Commonwealth property, and if you went in you were doing it unlawfully. So, and there was 4 of them all up. So anyway, he pled not guilty to it, which meant it went to a hearing. And so I then went to the hearing to give my evidence, And at the end of the hearing, the magistrate found the matter proved. And then the magistrate said to me, directed me to return these signs to the people that owned them. So I went with the giveaway sign in the town where this hearing was. I went round to the Road Transport Authority and walked in there and gave them back their giveaway sign. And I duly had them sign my official notebook to say that I'd returned it to them. The next sign was the Commonwealth sign, and I went round to the post office. Well, they're a Commonwealth institution. Walked in there with this rather large sign underneath my arm, and asked them I said, I've got a sign that belongs to you, and asked them to take possession of it. But they declined, saying that they were merely a franchise. I thought, okay, right, they're a franchise, so they didn't really want to take it, and they declined my invitation to take it. So then I thought, well, in the town where this happened, it was a bush town, I went round to the Commonwealth Bank, and I rather cheekily walked into the Commonwealth Bank in uniform with this sign underneath my arm. And they're giving me puzzled looks as to why is this policeman in here carrying this large sign. I said, I have something that belongs to you. And they had a bemused look and chuckle, and when I presented them the sign and put it over the counter, and I first of all said, this is the Commonwealth Bank, isn't it? Yes, of course it's the Commonwealth Bank, that's what the signage says. And that's when I said, well, I have something that belongs to you. And I put it on the counter, and I duly got them to sign my notebook to say that I'd given them the sign. And would have been months and months later, I went into the bank just on some private business, and I noticed that the sign was still propped up against the wall. Anyway, that's how I dealt with that matter. Thanks for listening.